Hey guys, it's Lee here. Today I'm going to run through 11 money traps that you need to avoid in your 40s if you want to live a good life in retirement and ensure that you are financially free earlier on in life. I'm not quite 40 yet, but I've already made a couple of these mistakes and I've just rectified them quickly before my 40th birthday. I'm going to spend my 40s really focusing on maximising my investments. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out what mistake I've just rectified to ensure I hit my financial goals. So let's get into the video. So if you hit your 40s, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm 40 in December this year, which has crept up on me fast, let me tell you. As like me, you start to reach your 40s, you're probably feeling a bit more comfortable in life. You've got a good chunk of your mortgage paid off, hopefully, or paid off altogether, ideally, and you're earning a lot more than you ever have, and you're going on nice holidays and doing all the stuff involved with a successful life. But I'm here to warn you of a few traps that we can fall into with our current level of comfort and things which could derail you without you realising it later on in life as you head to retirement. What you need to be careful of is having a constantly raising cost of living when you get into your 40s. It may be that it's already crept up on you, so let's look at the 11 common money traps to avoid in your 40s so you can retire earlier and quit work if that's what you want to do. So the first big trap we all fall into is overspending on our kids. We all love our kids, and this is a trap which I've fallen into, and I'm sure that every parent out there has fallen into it as well. The trouble is, the more you spend, the more you need to keep spending as your kids just get used to it, and it ends up in a vicious spending circle until you're broke or at least don't have the money that you plan to have in retirement. So I do get it, everybody wants to give the kids everything that they've ever wanted or what we didn't have as kids, but as you approach middle age you need to be thinking about your financial future and not wasting money on your kids, buying them every single thing they ask for. Do your kids really need a brand new luxury car or brand new iPhone? If they're asking for these things and you are giving in to this when you can't really afford it, you're going to become a burden to them when you're older and you can't afford to sustain yourself because you haven't saved enough money. And who wants that? Treat them now and again, yes of course, but I'm saying be wary of what you are spending on them and consider if that money would be better utilised elsewhere for the financial future of the family. Because if you are spending more money that you can't afford to, one day it's going to bite you. So just think about this one. So the next money trap to avoid in your 40s is thinking a state pension is going to cover your expenses in retirement. This one really makes me laugh. The number of people that think the state pension is going to be enough to live on when they retire and therefore they don't save anything into a personal pension. Let me tell you that the state pension will not be enough to live on solely today, never mind in 20, 30 years from now as inflation rises and the price of goods keeps increasing. So what you also need to consider is that state pension may not be something that is around forever as governments change and policies change, and this could be something which is dramatically cut back on or even abolished altogether at some point in the future. So imagine that you're thinking that you are going to rely on the state pension in retirement, then 5 years before you retire, this becomes a government cutback and is either dramatically reduced or abolished altogether. Then what are you going to do? So the way I look at the state pension is that it's a bonus on top of what you already have in your pension. If you look at it like this, then your retirement is going to be a lot more comfortable. Plan your pension and your retirement only to include the state pension as a bonus on top. Then if it's abolished or reduced, it doesn't impact you and you can thank me later. So this leads us on to not investing enough in our 40s. This really applies throughout your 20s, 30s and 40s. You need to be investing whatever you can each month as early as you can to really harness the power of compound interest. And in your 40s, you should really be shoveling as much cash as possible into investments. For the past 3 or 4 years, I've really been throwing as much money as I can into investments to try and hit my financial goals. Currently, I'm trying to reduce my living expenses as much as possible so I can throw even more into the investment portfolio so that myself and my wife can have a really comfortable retirement and we can choose when we stop working rather than needing to work to sustain ourselves. And I'll go into a couple of those big cutbacks that I'm making a bit later on in the video. So another mistake which is not money related, it's actually not caring about your health. As we approach middle age, we all seem to have less time to do anything and rely on convenience food and neglect our training in the gym, etc. So I'm guilty of this one too. I work far too many hours sat at a computer, and by the time I have finished, in inverted commas, for the day as an entrepreneur, you're never finished my brain is fried and all I want to do is get home and relax with my family. We've also had so many social events over the past few weeks since lockdown was lifted. I'm kind of tired, to be honest, of all the drinking and eating. I need to get back into the gym, watching what I eat and taking health a bit more seriously. I've a couple more events to attend in the next couple of weeks. Then in the run to the end of the year, I'll be trying to get back into shape and get back into my training. As you get older, it gets more important to look after your health, and in my quest for success, I've neglected it somewhat by working far too many hours, so I'm aiming to try and rectify that in the final quarter of 2021. The big mistake to avoid in your 40s, or really as soon as you have a family, is not having life insurance. I've had life insurance since I was about 22, and this means that it's really cheap every month. The longer you put off getting life insurance, the more it costs you on a monthly basis. But as you get into your 40s, you really do need to be thinking about life insurance and looking after your family should the worst happen. I know you think it will never happen to me, but as you get older, you start seeing people you went to school with and close friends checking out far too early, and it could quite easily be you or me or anybody. So just make sure you have enough life insurance to make sure all your financial commitments are met should the worst happen. Ideally, make sure you have enough to pay off your mortgage, any loans or debts that you may have, and it will be hard enough for your family as it is, so don't leave them with a mountain of debt too. So think about getting that life insurance in place. Another mistake I see a lot of people making in their 40s is cashing in investments when a market crashes. One of my favourite stock market quotes is, "It's not timing the market, it's time in the market." And this is so true. Unless you're a stock market genius, you cannot time the market by investing and pulling your money out as soon as there is a dip. Get your cash in the stock market, just ride the highs and lows until you need the cash when you retire. Put it into an investment portfolio and just forget about it. Pretend like the money doesn't even exist anymore. Then just check on it every 5 years and you'll be amazed at the gains that you'll make. The average stock market returns on the S&P 500, for example, is 8% every single year between 1926 and 2020. And that's through all of the global chaos which you have been through in your life. Imagine trying to time these peaks and troughs to try and make money on them. Just sit back and earn the 8% every year on average and watch your net worth increase with the power of compound interest. Just before we go on, if you are getting value from this video, please hit the like button. And if you have, please also comment "liked" in the comments below so I can thank you personally. Done? Great. Then let's continue. This leads us into not thinking long term with your money. Kind of a continuation from the last point, but you really need to think long term with your money. Think of every pound or dollar you spend now is a pound or dollar that you can't invest for your future. You need to get your money working for you. Think of every dollar you make as a little soldier that you send off to earn money for you in the stock market or alternative investments. This will mean that you can earn money while you sleep, and the longer you do this for, the earlier you can be financially free. Don't be a slave to money, make money work for you, and you'll be a lot happier. So I'm guilty as charged on this next one, and that is buying a flash car. Okay, I had to put this one in there as it's the one I've just rectified after not taking my own advice. I've always had nice cars, but last year I bought my dream car. I bought a Porsche 911 convertible. Absolutely loved the car, but it was a large amount of cash sat in the garage for most of the year because I only did about 3,000 miles in it. So I decided to sell it, and luckily there is a worldwide shortage of luxury cars presently, so I managed to sell it for exactly what I paid for it. I also drive the Mercedes GLE 350, and I'm also selling this to save money every month for investing. So I'm doing the sensible thing and buying a Tesla through one of my businesses. This is massively tax efficient, and it means that I have more disposable income to invest, and it's better for the planet, which is another bonus. My advice is get all your finances and investments in order before buying the flash car if you really need to. Ideally only buy a really flash car when something like share dividends are actually paying for it, or when you are already financially free. Another mistake to avoid in your 40s is servicing high interest debts. This is another mistake I see a lot of people making in middle age, and that is servicing high interest debts. And I'm talking credit cards, store cards, and high interest loans. So you may be able to afford the repayments on the direct debits, but do you really need to buy something with high interest borrowing? Do you really need to wear a pair of Gucci trainers if a pair of Adidas trainers will do the same thing? Don't get caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses and overspending to the point where to keep up you need to finance it with high interest debt. Just don't do it. And the next mistake to avoid is upgrading your house when you don't really need to. I had to put this one in as I've just had to rein myself in on this one too. Myself and my wife started looking for a new house, but we don't really need one. Having the mortgage nearly paid off on the one we're in means that we will be mortgage free soon and we will have more disposable income to invest. Rather than upgrading the house to something a little bit bigger in a little bit better area for double the price, so we decided, unless we could pay for the next house fully in cash, we'll be staying put. We decided to spend a little bit of money renovating the house we were already in to give it a new lease of life, and therefore saving all the costs associated with moving and paying a bigger mortgage. Another mistake which you need to rein in is spending too much when you're going out. This one is easily done, and as you start to get into middle age and you have a decent amount of disposable income, it's easy to start going out to more high-class restaurants and bars and weekends away at more expensive hotels. But all this extra money you are spending, which isn't necessary, is meaning you have got less money to invest. In your 40s, you really want to have very little cash on hand. Most of it needs to be invested. Obviously, you should keep aside an emergency fund of 6 months living expenses, but anything above this should be invested and working for you. So I'm not saying never go out and never do anything. I'm just saying don't start overspending on experiences where it's not really necessary. You don't need to be eating at Michelin star restaurants every month because you got a pay rise or you have a bit more disposable income. Don't be a victim of lifestyle inflation. Live a modest life and invest the rest. If you're looking to boost your income or put more money away into your pension or investment accounts, watch this video next and I'll see you next week.